Hi, I'm Christy Rost. In today's show, my husband Randy and I are making a campfire breakfast over live fire. We've always loved backpacking in Colorado, sleeping in a tent and waking up to a hearty breakfast. When it comes to breakfast, though, that's Randy's domain. So today, I'm his sous chef. Welcome to At Home with Christy Rost.
Here goes the bacon. Oh.
So this is thick cut applewood smoked bacon, and we're putting the pan, this Heston stainless steel pan with titanium coating, so it holds up to 1,050 degrees, and that's why we can use this pan over live fire, because this fire is much hotter than what you're going to get off the stove. And so the bacon goes in. We always cook the bacon first because that way you have the bacon fat in the bottom of the pan so that eggs don't stick, and at the same time you get all that beautiful flavor from the applewood smoked bacon into the eggs. So this is pretty typical when Randy and I will go camping together, that we start with some bacon before we move on with the eggs. This is beautiful. So one of the things that is really important about live fire cooking, and any kind of campsite that you use, or in this case we're actually still at Swan's Nest, but this is our live fire ring up by our upper pond. So we have a water source right here, and it's really important to know that if you're going to be camping, you're going to use any kind of fire, that you really have to have water with you. It's really great if you're near a lake, you're near a pond or a stream, but you also need something to collect that water, because when you're finished, you need to be able to put the fire out completely. A lot of forest fires begin, or grass fires begin, because someone camps and they don't put out the fire all the way. And so we always have buckets ready to grab water from the pond, but if you're camping out in nature and you want you're going to be by a stream or something, have something with you. And then when you're done, you pour the water in the fire and you stir it, and you pour more water in and you stir it again, and then you pour water in a third time and you stir, and you make sure that the fire is completely out. The coals should be cold.
You're supposed to be able to put your hand on the coals.
That's right. And that's how you know that it's cold. And if you don't do that, you're not being a good steward of nature. So we're fortunate here at Swan's Nest. We've got this great pond here, but we also, I will tell you, we also have a fire permit to do this. And we contacted our local fire department, and they actually came out and inspected this area to make sure that indeed it is safe for us, because we are surrounded by forest. Some of it's ours and a lot of it is national forest. And we want to make sure that we are very good stewards of nature. The bacon's looking good. It cooks pretty quickly over live fire like this because the fire's so hot. And you'll notice that there's not a whole lot of flames. That's because how far in advance did you start the fire, Randy?
It all depends on your wood, but this wood was extremely dry. So about 45 minutes ahead of time.
Okay. And then at this point, it's really a lot of hot coals. Hey, I'm going to sit down with you. So we got hot coals here, and not as much flame. And I think does that make the cooking easier, I think, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're battling the flames. And really, I think it's hotter. Don't you think, when you've got the coals like this, and if you've got a bunch of flames going all over?
This is not necessarily hotter, but you have a more even.
Okay.
More even.
Okay, and of course, even cooking is always the optimum. And this looks beautiful. I can see it's getting crisp. I like my bacon crisp, so I can see it's starting to crisp up a little bit. The pan looks good. The Heston pan is definitely holding up beautifully here. Heston is part of Meyer Corporation, so when I cook with Analon, that's also Meyer Corporation. So these are sister companies here, sister brands, I guess I should say. Okay, my mouth's watering.
You might explain the time that we didn't use a pan, but we cooked on a rock.
Oh gosh. Randy had this idea. He wanted to cook on a big rock one time. So we had this rock about that thick. So that'd be what, about 4 inches thick? About that big. It was huge. And we had cooked some other things first over live fire. And then he said, okay, I really always want to cook a steak on a rock. So I said, okay, let's do it. So yeah, we had this gorgeous ribeye steak, I think it was. And he put the rock on there and heated it up. And then when it was good and hot, he threw the steak on there after seasoning and all. Golly, after a little while before the steak was even cooked all the way, the rock split in 3 places. And that was an indication of just how hot the fire was. So that was pretty cool. Hey, look, while you're doing that, shall I start making biscuits?
Yes.
I'm going to make some cast iron biscuits. This is a very typical way of doing this. I'm using a cast iron Dutch oven here. And so I have 2 cups of flour, and I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 3/4 of a teaspoon of pink Himalayan sea salt. And I love the color. This is from Salt Seasons. And I do love the color. And it just adds beautiful flavor. This is actually a company from Texas, which is good because when I'm not here in Colorado, I'm living in Texas. So I'm just going to stir this up real quickly. And so we're just using some old logs as our tables. You know, when you're camping, you don't have anything fancy. You just bring what you've got. And, or if you're lucky, you find what you need. And I have some buttermilk here. Takes about 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk for these 2 cups of flour. But I always have just a little extra because I never know how dry it is today, whether I might need just a little bit extra. And I also have some butter I'm going to cut in there. I'm going to ask Aiden to pop in here for a second and bring me some butter. Thank you, Aiden. We are good to go. And the butter's cold. And if I were in the house, I would chop this up ahead of time. But since I'm not, I'm going to chop it right here. So you never have everything you need. So I'm just going to use what I've got here. I did bring this pastry blender. And so I'll just break this up. How's the bacon come? Oh, the bacon looks beautiful, Randy. How much time left on that, do you think?
Oh, I would say about another 2.5 minutes on a couple of these pieces.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, while you do that and finish that up, I'll keep working on the butter in here. Normally I would have put the butter in first, but you know, we're camping. The reason that you break the butter up into like this, into small pieces, and I'm using a pastry blender to do this, you could do 2 knives, that'll work too, is because then the little bits of butter in the dough just kind of make everything nice and light and tender, so you get a higher rise in your biscuit, certainly a more tender biscuit. Okay, here, I think that's good enough. Okay, now let's try the rest of the buttermilk. Pour this in here. I'm gonna leave just a teeny bit in the bottom so it doesn't get too wet, and we'll see how it goes. And if I need to add extra, I can. Oh yeah, this is gonna be great. So I have some extra flour here, and I'm going to just put some on my board. Now, if you're really camping and you aren't in your backyard, as I sort of am here, then you could just use your hands to form the biscuits, free form, but I actually brought my pastry cutter.
And somebody ordered extra crisp bacon.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So
that's gonna be good with these.
I'll put the bacon aside for a couple minutes.
Thank you, dear. So Randy really is my breakfast person. Even when we aren't camping, he loves to make breakfast. So I let him do it. Why not? And just enjoy the results. So I bring this together just kind of lightly, and just keep your hands kind of floured a bit so it doesn't stick too much. And you don't want to overwork the dough, but you do want to make sure that it all comes together. I'm using a Dutch oven here. This is a Lodge Dutch oven. And we've had it a long time, I think, haven't we, Rand?
Oh, yes.
So it gets used. It gets used for chili. It gets used for biscuits. You can bake pies in there. You can do all kinds of things with a cast iron Dutch oven.
If you take one thing camping, a Dutch oven does everything.
Well, that's true.
You turn the lid over and it's a fry pan.
You can even wash your dishes in it. Okay, so I have this probably about a ½ inch in depth here, thickness, and I take my little thing, and we already just ran a paper towel with some oil, canola oil, in here. You want your biscuits to be touching, but not to be smashed up against each other. And the interesting thing about when you bake biscuits in a Dutch oven like this is they bake from the top down. An oven bakes from the bottom up. It's the opposite here. And the way that happens is once Randy puts this on the coals, he will put coals on top of the lid. And that's how you get the heat to come down. So we're getting those kind of close. Put one in the middle here. And again, you don't have to take a pastry cutter with you. You can just use your hands and freeform your biscuits. And then I re-roll my dough, gather it together again, so that I use all of it. And just kind of pat this all back together like this. Okay, I don't know if you've ever been camping. If you have, you already know what fun it is to do. If you've never been camping, it is such fun. And it doesn't matter if you're camping out of your car, out of a camper, or you're backpacking like we do. And then get out there in nature any way you can and experience what it's like. Okay, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 biscuits in there. Yep, and I've got enough to make one in the center. And then we can put these in the fire. You got a spot almost ready for me,
Sure
Randy?
do.
Yay.
Ready to go.
I've always called Randy my Colorado man. He just thrives up here. And I've always loved that. He actually introduced me to this kind of life. I was more of a city girl. But I think I do all right. Okay, this is gonna be Cook's Treat. It's just a little extra because you don't want to waste anything. So Cook's Treat there, lid, and a good Dutch oven like this has basically a flat lid so that you can put coals on top. A pair of really thick, sturdy gloves are also helpful when you're camping. So pack that in with your other things, in with your tent. I think a bumblebee has found the flour on my hands. I'm going to wash them off. So these should take somewhere around 12 to 15 minutes to bake. And again, the heat's going to go from the top down. It's often recommended that you turn the Dutch oven about every 5 minutes just to kind of even out the heat so you don't have one side that's going to get all burned and the other not quite done. And it's always a little bit of a surprise when you take off the lid. Are they going to be just the way you want them? Okay, so we're going to give it about 5 minutes and give it a turn.
Okay.
So do you want to hold off on the eggs then while we bake those?
Well, when we turn them one time, we can salt the eggs.
Okay, that sounds good. So we'll do that. So let's give these a few minutes to bake. So Randy's going to check the biscuits. They've been on for about 8 minutes now. We're going to see what they look like. Oh yeah, they're looking good, but they need more time. And they're getting nice and puffy, and but they aren't the least bit golden brown. So we probably need another, I'd say maybe 5 minutes on those. So we're just going to give them a few more minutes, and then we'll start the eggs. So I think by now the biscuits are ready. It's been about Oh, probably about 13, 14 minutes. So Randy's taking the coals off, the lid.
So that we can peek.
Do a quick peek. If they're ready, I'm gonna jump for a plate.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Oh, they're gorgeous.
They're perfect.
Gorgeous. I'm jumping for a plate, excuse me, walking right in front here. Oh, yes.
They are ready to go.
Coming.
Come on over here.
Again, love it. Woo. Oh, they're beautiful.
Look at those
I
biscuits.
love it. I think those are my best biscuits ever. I love it. Okay, do you want to take them out and we'll put them on a plate?
Okay.
Or do you want me to take them out and you start eggs? How about that? I'll take them out, you start eggs. Okay, otherwise we'll never get breakfast. Okay, they're sticking just a little bit on the bottom, so we're just gonna give a little. Oh, these are beautiful. Oh, let me use the spatula thing. There we go, where is it? Yeah. Oh, nice, thanks. Okay, so, you know, we got a little bit toasted here. That's okay.
Yeah,
Put a little bit of honey on. Oh, thanks. Put a little bit of honey on that. You'll never taste it. Oh, yeah.
They look good.
Nice. They do look nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably would have baked them about 1 minute less, but, you know, you never know exactly how hot the fire's going to be. So it's a surprise every time. And in this case, it's going to be a delicious surprise. I'm going to let them cool just a little bit, and then I'll break one open and we'll put some honey on it. I've got some Little Bear honey here, so we'll do that. Fantastic. So while the biscuits cool a little bit, Randy's going to start the eggs. Do you put that right on the logs? Right on the
logs.
Just to heat?
To heat back up.
Okay. Okay, and then how do you...
Then I'm going to move it over to the side so I can get the eggs started.
Oh, that's why you put extra rocks
Yes.
there. Got it. Okay. So Randy moved some of the logs back in the center so that he has a fairly flat surface for heating up the pan for the eggs. And now tell me what you're going to do.
Now I'm going to move the pan over here so it's nearer to me to do the eggs. The pan is hot. Then I'm going to put the eggs in, and it has a nice amount of oil so that they fry up.
Okay, so that's some of the bacon fat, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll season the eggs. Boy, these things are going to cook in no time flat.
The pan's hot.
Yeah. An extra pair of gloves, heavy gloves, is always a good thing to take when you're camping. Oh, yeah. I'm hungry. I haven't had breakfast yet. Super. And in my sous chef position, my role today, I get to season the eggs. So I have some of the Salt Seasons pink Himalayan salt. Ready? Put a little salt on these.
One more.
One more in the middle. Yeah. Oh, wow. This is enough breakfast for the two of us and the crew.
Now I'm going
Hang
to...
on, I got to put the pepper on.
I know, but I'm rotating the pan.
Oh.
Because the surface is not exactly even.
Oh, okay. Good idea. Here comes the pepper. Woo. Okay. Oop, a little bit there. Okay.
And the pan's hot, so I'm not putting it quite on the fire yet.
Yeah, I see it's sizzling like crazy. Well, that's that 1,050 degrees that the pan will take because of the titanium coating. Nice. Oh, beautiful. Wow, we're gonna have that, and the bacon, that applewood smoked bacon, and the biscuits. It's gonna be absolutely fabulous. I'm getting absolutely smoked out here. Woo! Nice job.
And thanks.
Beautiful.
That's going to be good.
It is gonna be good.
Biscuit, eggs, and bacon.
This is why I love camping with you. You fix breakfast. The ones on that side are already pretty much done. It's just right in here. See that?
Yeah.
Whoa. There we go. So what's your favorite place to camp or backpack?
Well, one thing you can do here in Colorado is, because lots of time I camp at 12,000 feet elevation, so it's cold year round. Lots of times it's below freezing at night. So you catch some little trout right before sunset, which is a good time to fish in the high mountains. Then you put them out for the evening.
Out where?
Out in the open, where the temperature is probably somewhere between 25 and 35 degrees. And then in the morning, you have fried trout.
Yeah, but what about the bears? They like trout too.
Well, if there's ice left over in the winter, and then I dig a hole in the ice and bury them.
Okay, well, most of the time there's ice by the ponds and lakes that we go to, so, okay, that makes sense. So the eggs are ready, the bacon's ready, I've got biscuits, I've got Little Bear honey, we're ready. And so I'm gonna give you a biscuit and one for me. These biscuits really came out well.
Oh, they did.
I'm excited. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is camping breakfast at its best. Thanks for joining us today on At Home with Christy Rost, where great food, beautiful wines, and hospitality are a tradition. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Salt Seasons and Heston Culinary Cookware, and also our friend at Melissa's Produce. Cheers.